evening, everyone. My name is Jitin Hingorani, and on behalf of Engendered, I would like to welcome our artists, choreographers, and dancers, some of whom have traveled thousands of miles to be with us this evening. Thank you for being here. This is not merely a dance festival. Engendered is providing a forum for dancers, artists, choreographers, and storytellers from India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, England, Canada, and from right here in New York to negate stereotypes and educate us about their rich histories. We're giving a voice to some who fled their countries because they wanted to dance, to others who gave up their families and their religion because dance was their only family, their only religion.
The arts historically in South Asia have been spaces of great activism. They are powerful and transformative spaces. Oral traditions of folk theatre have kept indigenous historical perspectives alive and have helped fuel revolutions against colonization. Sufi and Bhakti folk music have helped create secular identities and bridge years of religious divides and fractures. And classical dance forms have preserved alternative masculinities and feminities from pre-colonial eras as opposed to the two-dimensional patriarchal formulations of gender, and so on and so forth. However, when it comes to gender and sexuality, there is somewhat of a political stalemate. There still continues to be many silences around gender and sexuality within South Asian culture. And the biggest of these is still the two spaces that shape almost all of our lives, ritual and religion. This boundary is where Engendered starts.
For those of you who don't know what Engendered is, we are a transnational arts and human rights organization that creates awareness around issues of gender and sexuality at the intersection of ritual and religion in the South Asian diaspora. Now, we do this through music, film, visual art, and performance, and a series of salon events throughout the year.
Well, this is a dance festival like you have never seen before. We have amazing number of artists crossing every single genre possible: classical, contemporary, modern, popular like Bhangra, folk, as well as Bollywood. So it's a fantastic performance festival. We have all of these people who are talking about important issues and doing wonderfully creative and beautiful things.
We should have equality in this dance form. Dance is very much transcends gender. And so for us, that was the fight, was to transcend this gender discrimination, that girls shouldn't do Bhangra just because predominantly it was done by men. So that was our big fight. That was our big mission. And then it was great. The cherry on top was that we in fact did beat the men. So it was fantastic.
Well, one of the most memorable things that I remember was in 2004 we did a competition for the very first time in San Francisco. And at that point when we had performed, I remember the whole audience had stood up and had done a standing ovation for us. And once we had finished performing, we had gone backstage, and that they applauded us. I mean, there were other people on stage performing, but they stood up again just because we entered that room. And for us, that was to get that recognition from our peers and from fellow dancers. For us, that felt really, really rewarding, and I think that for me was the most memorable.
I mean, honestly, dance is dance everywhere, so it wasn't completely foreign. It was quite a surprise because you never know where the journey is going to take you. You never know where you'll end up, and I really fell in love with a lot of the Western styles in the sense of popping, locking, b-boying. I fell in love with it, traveled to California and really studied that, and that's really what has helped to bring me over to India is that love. And when I met my husband Flexi Stu, we began working together, and again that has brought us to India, just kind of allowing us to share our love and passion of the American funk styles and our ability to share it with the world, and primarily, you know, Bollywood. And we're so grateful to Mother India, as I've said in the past, you know, to have so much dance within their industry. 5 songs in every movie. I mean, it's a dancer's a dancer's dream. So I've been very fortunate, and it's been quite an adventure.
I've been a dancer now for a good many years. My first sort of professional experience was in a company in New York called Susan Marshall and Company, which is within the dance world. It's a very well-respected company, very poetic work. The vocabulary is by and large sort of released technique. It's very sort of modern. The sense of the body is very light. There's an interplay of weight and partnering. There's a very sort of there's something very contemporary actually about the way that you feel in that kind of movement, and the way that movement is assembled is extremely poetic. So that's the background I came from.
Okay.
Because now I feel like I'm in a space where I can make much more personal work. So the work that I've made for this Engendered festival is just sort of it's imagining what it would be like for me to confront my great-grandfather who I never met.
Okay.
And then just so I play my great-grandfather who's sort of getting ready, doing his rituals in a film, and then I'm live on stage as sort of myself at a rehearsal. And so it's just playing with sort of consciousness, with identity, with our need sometimes to explore our past, and then with how the past might view us or actually have no opinion of us, or maybe, it's just playing with what happens and how we feel about ourselves as part of a historical line, family, continuum, culture. So I'm playing in that space, and it's been really fun.